Recording.
Okay. Howdy, folks. Welcome to Sham and Covy's Emporium of Awesome. My name is Sean.
My name is Corey, and we are here to talk about our Marvel Retrospective. This is the second in the series, where we go through and talk about how the Marvel movies stand up now that the Infinity Saga is over. Are they as good as we remember them, and how do they stand up today? So we're going through each in turn. So today, the movie we're going to be looking at is Iron Man 2. So technically the third movie. Hulk was the second, but we're skipping the Hulk for now. Moving on to Iron Man 2. So this movie here, it came out a couple years after Iron Man. It came out in 2010. Same director, Jon Favreau, directed this, and most of the same cast. We'll get into them when we talk about the characters. A couple new faces in this one, and one notable recasting. So, Iron Man 2. What do you think, Sean? Is this What did you like about this movie? What you didn't like about this movie rewatching it?
Rewatching it and stuff, I actually enjoyed it more this time around than I did the first time. I think. Well, stuff I enjoyed it a little more. Like I said, I thought it was a good sequel also to the first. I thought it expanded more on stuff on the characters again, continued with them more, and just kind of continued the universe a little bit more. Yeah, like I say, I enjoyed it. Surprisingly enjoyed it more. So the things that I didn't like the first time around also I didn't mind them also this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because I remember when I first watched it, I remember I wouldn't say disappointed because I enjoyed it, but
Mm-hmm.
compared to the hype from the first one, and maybe it's because we knew a bit more about Marvel's plans by the time this movie came out, but the
Yeah.
hype of the first one had kind of died down when this one came out. I mean, universally, most people think that Iron Man 2 is really low down on the scale of Marvel movies. But when I rewatched this, yeah, same thing. I found myself really enjoying this. Um,
Yeah.
m- yeah, I would agree. I probably enjoyed this more than maybe even the first Iron Man, actually, which is
Oh,
surprising.
really?
But I did watch them back to back, so that might be still. It's
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
I think the reason that the first one has more for me is nostalgia purposes. Being the first one, also starting everything off. Also, I think that brings it more a little bit higher on stuff than it before. But in this one, I think the villain in this one also is way better on stuff than in the first one.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
initially, when I watched it, I didn't like Whiplash. When I first watched it, I thought it was a bad villain on stuff. He didn't do anything on stuff. But when I rewatched it, realized his motives and things like that. Like he wasn't going in to fight on stuff. Tony Stark can beat him. He was going in to show that superheroes and stuff can be defeated and can bleed, and they have weaknesses, right?
Yeah. And
So
it's interesting that you brought that up. So both the villains and yeah, Whiplash in particular. So for anyone who may not know, Whiplash is played by Mickey Rourke. Um, so yeah, he was way more, for some reason, rewatching it, he was way more interesting to me. His motivations with his family, like his dad being on the original arc reactors, I don't know
mhm,
why, but I think I missed that the first time around. I knew he was like a
right,
Russian scientist, and I knew he wanted to like prove that he was as good as Tony Stark, but I didn't really realize that it stemmed back from Tony Stark's dad working with him, and essentially Howard Stark stealing Whiplash's father's engineering plans for the arc reactor.
yeah,
So knowing that, it kind of made him a bit more sympathetic, a bit more, gave him a bit more of a motive. And yeah, he wanted to show that, yeah, Tony Stark and superheroes and Iron Man, he was kind of trying to show they were like a fraud, right? Like he's not this superhero. Like I can take him down. He's not the only one that can come up with amazing technology.
yeah.
And yeah, I found him a better character. And I think Mickey
Yeah.
Rourke did a good job overall of
I think so
portraying
too.
that.
Yeah. I think he was
Now,
really good.
so the other villain in the movie, on
The
the other
other,
hand, so Sam Rockwell, he plays Justin
yeah,
Hammer. God, this guy, what a
like you're saying,
train wreck of
they're
a
not
of a
in the
character.
previous one. I wish and stuff like that that Jeff Bridges would have came over on stuff and taken that role and got Whiplash and things like that on stuff, right? Like he wouldn't have been defeated and killed on stuff in the first. He would have came back separately on stuff, started having this other company on stuff and trying to take down Tony on stuff would have been way better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And this is I said it last video. Say it again. Marvel needs to stop killing their villains
Yeah,
because Jeff Bridges, if he had survived and like you said, started his own company and it could still be whatever technologies. If he was like the mastermind of the last one instead of being killed at the end, blah blah blah, then he could have been in the exact same role because really it was almost a rehash. It was another tech guy who wanted to show up Tony Stark and
yeah,
take over his contracts and take over his technology. And I mean, Sam Rockwell, he's not my favorite actor, but did you? Side note: his character is super similar to the character he played in one of those Charlie's Angels movies. Like this tech mogul
yeah,
guy who's kind of meek and kind of like weaselly, and then he busts out like his like dance moves on stage and is all like cocky. Like it was almost the
yeah,
same character to me, and I didn't like the character in that. I didn't like him in this.
yeah. It just yeah, he was just a character in this stuff. He didn't really mean nothing stuff or anything. I didn't really care about him or anything like that. Don't
Yeah.
do that. Right?
So the other characters, though, I mean, well, let's talk about Iron Man himself. So Tony Stark, he's consistently knocks it out of the park. He's fantastic in this, just
Yeah,
like he was in the last one. I feel like he didn't grow much as a character in this, though. In this movie, he was consistent. He was good, and I liked him. But I don't feel like there was a lot of growth in him. Although the scene with him when when he kind of gets drunk and has the fight with War Machine,
yeah,
it did kind of push him towards. You could tell, and I didn't in retrospect I didn't notice it the first time, but in retrospect watching this, you can see where he's going into the Iron Man movies and into Iron Man 3. Like it's the start of that arc where I think the pressure of being a superhero. In the first one he's all like gung ho and like I'm going to superhero, I'm going to change the world. In this one he's much more like you can tell that he's very conflicted of his whether he's worthy of it maybe, and
yeah,
that's why he's like drinking and kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I feel like there was some character growth, but not a lot. It didn't really change much for me, for my
Hmm.
thoughts on the character. I don't know. What do you think of Tony in this
Yeah,
one?
and I felt the same way stuff with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt also like the only thing they added stuff was like the weight of the world kind of thing stuff on him a bit more stuff with it and that and him trying to struggle stuff with that and with his own mortality something kind of type of thing and stuff like that. So
Oh, that's true with the thing killing him. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. Yeah, and then of course the other characters. I mean, again, Gwyneth Paltrow's in this Pepper Potts. Take
yeah,
her or leave her. I didn't care about her at all. I just don't really like her as a character in either a character or an actress. So I can
yeah, she was
whatever.
fine, and she was fine stuff as being as there like same kind of feeling as in the first.
Yeah, but then we got Don Cheadle, who plays War Machine. Who it was Terrence Howard in the first. It's a recast. He's way better in my opinion. Maybe not a way better of an actor in general, although I think he is a better actor.
Yeah,
Um, he bring the character to life. I liked him in this. Him getting a suit and using it and fighting Tony and then helping Tony fight Whiplash. That was great. Maybe that colored my view of him as a character more on
yeah,
rewatching, but it's night and day watching Iron Man and watching Iron Man 2 back to back. The
yeah.
difference in the acting.
It's like I say, the character had some growth also. It had some emotion to it, stuff where I didn't feel also the actor brought that in the first one, whether it was the writing or the actor or whatever. I felt in this one, stuff like I say, obviously they made him War Machine and gave him more and stuff like that. And so that helped the character a lot, and stuff. And it helped the transition
Yeah,
initially on from being recast on stuff. Because recast, I would hate recasting on stuff, but this one on stuff, it flowed really good on stuff, and it continued on stuff really good on stuff with him.
yeah.
And of course,
Um.
they added which Scarlett Johansson was in this
Mm-hmm.
one, right? And so like that, which was a great character to add to it also because of the mystery of the behind her also, and also a way of continuing characters into the future and stuff, right? Like bringing them into the movie slightly on stuff to be bigger later on.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't. I don't know. Did they? They didn't actually call her Black Widow in this one. I'm pretty sure. But
Nope.
yeah, we obviously everybody who knows comics knew she was Black Widow. But and then of course Samuel L. Jackson has a much bigger role in this than the first one. In the first one he was a cameo at the end. In this one he's got a full on scenes with Tony, several of them, as Nick Fury. So that was great.
Yeah, like
Setting up Shield for the first time as an actual organization.
yeah, like I say, basically in the first one, he was just there to let everybody know. By the way, we're planning for the Avengers because the Avengers Initiative. Like, oh, they actually are going that way, and they're going to do it on stuff, right? That's what that was with this one. he has a lot more stuff to say and do stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about the plot overall? I mean, we kind of touched on it with the motivations of the villain, but overall, do you
Yeah,
think it was well done? Well,
I think so. Like I say, especially looking at it again, so I'm watching it again. Like I say, I think I enjoyed also the plot of it more this time around than I did the first. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't catch up on certain things. Like it has nothing to do with the whole big universe part of it. It's just this movie on stuff. But for some reason, I don't know if I was expecting more from it on stuff after watching the first one because it was so amazing. But like I say, I enjoyed it much more in this. I thought it flowed really good for the most part. Yeah,
yeah,
like I say, I enjoyed the end, like the fight scene at the end, way more than in the first one. I thought that one was way better, and that was
yeah,
all like robots and everything like that. I thought it was great.
yeah. Plus, you had more than just Tony versus like it wasn't a one-on-one. It was like Tony and War Machine versus an army of robots.
Yeah,
You got Black Widow doing stuff as well, and you've got the final showdown with Whiplash was good, although
I
short-lived.
wish it was longer. I wish it was longer. I was just gonna say, yeah,
Yeah, but still was good, and um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. The action and effects stood up even better. The suits in this one, of course, this is the first time we see him with the different iterations of the Iron Man suit. He goes
yeah,
through, I think, three different suits in this movie. I
yeah.
think
I
he
think
does
so.
because he busts one up when he attacks him on the track, and he gets another one.
Yeah,
But
because I thought that was really good. Like I said, I thought Scarlett Johansson's on stuff like fight scenes on stuff in that one place on stuff was really cool. It
oh
was really good.
yeah, in the hallway, yeah, that was great. And I think well, just moving into more of the kind of like summing up this movie.
Mhm.
I feel like this one was, yeah, I think I liked it more than the first Iron Man on rewatching. I didn't like it as much as the first Iron Man the first time around. Rewatching them both, I actually like this one a bit more, and I think it had to do with knowing how awesome War Machine becomes later on in like Civil War and other movies and Iron Man 3, and then knowing how awesome Black Widow comes, and I've got some hype because Black Widow movie is coming out, so watching her
Yeah,
being introduced and in the hallway, I I I really enjoyed. Like this movie actually flew by for me. I was engaged the whole time. I didn't like Sam Rockwell's character, and they could have done that better, but everything else was great. So I
yeah.
think
I
I
thought.
enjoyed this more than the first time.
Yeah, like I say, I thought they took stuff from the first one and stuff, and like I say, improved on the things that I kind of didn't like in the first one, which was like the villain in the end and stuff. I thought they improved that greatly in this and stuff like that, right? And then I enjoyed more parts of it. So like I said, it's right up there on stuff with the first one. Other than the nostalgia part of it, other than that, I think it's neck and neck on stuff with this one now that I've rewatched it, which is surprising because it wasn't like that when I first watched it at all. So
So what about the first movie when we watched it was like, yeah, this is kicking it off. And we didn't really realize what they were going for. In this one,
yeah.
we kind of had an inkling that they were going for something bigger. How do you feel Iron Man 2 looking back fits into the overall Infinity Saga? Or as a sequel to the first Iron Man? Like, is it
Great sequel because, like I was saying, they're continuing all that stuff, the whole universe, right? They're adding more than like the first one didn't really have anything in it except for the very end. This one has more things on stuff thrown into it as of know that you know that it's going that way. I thought, like I said, I thought it was a great sequel and a great continuation on stuff of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, yeah. The hints of bigger things like introducing Shield and the potential there, knowing that they're going towards Avengers, that's kind of established at this point.
Yeah.
But having him going through like the dossiers at the end was really cool. I like that, and
Hmm. Like
but
even little things on stuff like that, like in the background, also you don't catch them when you're watching it, but like I was saying, they have Wakanda is in the
yeah,
background like that, right? Like you can't really see it, but like saying either watching things or people that break it down, and you can, Wakanda's in the back there on stuff, right? So even back in the second movie or third movie or whatever, on some little things on stuff for the future, which is yeah,
yeah.
that's
It's like you catch the Easter eggs and the foreshadowing, and now you know what it means. Whereas before it was like, okay, that was cool, but what does that have to do with anything? Yeah.
yeah.
Overall, though, my last point on this one that I want to touch on, as
Mhm.
part of the Infinity Saga, do you think this Iron Man 2 is necessary to enjoy the Infinity Saga? In my opinion, you could drop this movie and not watch it and still enjoy the entire saga without missing any story beats. So I don't think it's
Yeah,
integral to the overall like Infinity Saga arc.
yeah. Other than introducing stuff like what you got Scarlett Johansson, like it's the first time also she's introduced in it, like. But other than that, and like I say, other than Nick Fury and stuff mentioning things about Shield and things like that, but really, Yeah, there's not a lot in it, all that stuff that you need to know all that stuff for it. Like, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's true.
Okay. Yeah. That's all my thoughts. Any other last thoughts?
I don't think so. Like I said, yeah, I think covered everything else up that I thought about. This one
Okay.
also, like I said, pleasantly surprised with it. That's great. I really like that it did that.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, we'll wrap up here then. If you guys enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe so you can see more of this. We're going to be going into, in our next video, we'll be reviewing the next movie in the series, which is Thor, the first Thor movie. So if you want to stick around and hear what we think about that, yeah, make sure you turn on the notification and follow the channel. Until next time, thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.